Hi everybody, it's Lorraine Alternative Homesteading. It's midnight on the next day. It's actually September 8, 2025. We've got a full moon lunar eclipse. The lunar eclipse over the next 9 months, we can expect a lot of things happening. And what better time to start before targeting? Life before targeting. I've mentioned it a couple of times that, we've been providing a lot of testimonies about what our life is like being targeted. And it's really important to share those experiences because it really does help others. It helps acknowledge, validate what's happening to us, other people, and also to document these atrocities that will go down in history. It's probably worse than whatever happened in Nazi Germany. So we're going to start a new series, Life Before Targeting. Before Targeting, I have my first one here. I will be doing my own also, but I just have to sit down and really write it out so that I can read it rather than jump around. So we've got Deborah Florian. Deborah Florian has my West Virginia horror story, and she is the first person to provide a testimony of what her life was like before targeting. So here we go, and thank you, Deborah. I really appreciated reading it, and there are so many similarities between your life and mine. It's really interesting. Okay, so my name is Deborah Florian. Not me, I'm Lorraine. My name is Deborah Florian, and what follows are reflections on my life prior to achieving the dubious status of targeted individual. I feel I would have escaped this fate had I not foolishly chosen to move to West Virginia, where a backwards mentality runs the show. A single woman from the big outside world are magnets for slander and scrutiny. I openly admit to having been warned many times about how things are in West Virginia. I was a Jersey girl, a Jersey gal, and that's my tribe. As an only child, I quickly learned how to make being alone work. I began reading at an early age, buying books at my school's book fairs. My family spent my childhood and early adolescence in Newark and New Jersey, where I developed strong situational awareness skills. My mom took me by bus on shopping excursions downtown, the busiest section of Newark. I recall seeing police riding quarter horses on the busy streets. I was impressed. We moved to Monmouth County on the New Jersey shore, where I graduated high school in 1976. Me too. During the dynamics at work within our family, college was not in the picture. My parents had been dealt a difficult hand of cards, and they did the best they could. I worked some office and retail jobs while living in a small house and apartments close to the beach. I loved walking on the boardwalk during winter with no one else in sight. No tourists. It was too windy and cold for them. And no shiny squeaky clean black Tahoes, Explorers, Yukons, or Expeditions in sight. I didn't know how good I had it. One winter evening in 1983, a friend and I decided to have dinner at a Mexican restaurant located right across from the ocean in Long Branch. The place was small, so everyone waiting for a table formed a line outside. It was cold and windy. I think it was snowing. When we finally sat down at our table, I looked toward the kitchen. I saw the chef putting plates of food down onto the counter for the servers to pick up. I can still recall that moment like it was yesterday. Steve and I were married a year and a half later. So she married the chef. Casa Comida, that tiny restaurant on the ocean, was wildly popular, so much so that the owners moved it to a much larger property inland. Steve worked long hours getting the new place up and running. It became a hangout for Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band. It was that good, but Monmouth County was becoming increasingly more populated, and Steve and I wanted a quieter life. We had taken a few trips down to Cape May, the southernmost tip of New Jersey, and we decided to move there. I mean, it is beautiful. Cape May is beautiful. Steve quickly found work as a chef in the tourism-driven economy of Cape May. I found a job at the Flim Flam candle shop, where I was fortunate to meet interesting people on their vacations. One such person was Jersey girl Brooke Shields. She brought a luminous yellow carved candle which matched her positive personality. I also worked at the Mainstay Inn, a stunning gem of Victorian architecture furnished with gorgeous antiques. My favorite assignment was giving tours relating the interesting history of the inn. It was like performing on stage, and I loved it. Steve and I had struck up a close friendship working at Cape May's Pilot House restaurant with a Jude, but it ended when Jude moved his family to Harper's Ferry, West Virginia, to work as the chef at the Cliffside Inn. But Jude had young children and was now looking for a job with daytime hours. He'd asked Steve if he would be interested in the position that he was about to vacate. So off we went on our new adventure, leaving New Jersey for good. Steve and I began living in a small house owned by his new boss, just over the state line in Maryland. In this area, you can drive from Maryland to Virginia and West Virginia all in about 5 minutes. It was a stunningly beautiful landscape with the Blue Ridge Mountains always in view. Shortly after arriving, we set out to visit Jude and his family in Jefferson County, West Virginia. What I'm about to relate is an odd glimpse into the future. We were tooling along in our 1950 Plymouth Special Deluxe. Steve was driving. It was a gorgeous summer day, and we traveled on Chestnut Hill Road, then onto Hostler Road. I found myself gazing up at the old vacant house. Animals were probably living inside. I can't say there was a clear message. There wasn't, but 17 years later, after an energetic young couple and her fiancé did a ton of work to the place, I was to buy it. And it was there that my West Virginia horror story began. Within 6 years, Steve and I divorced. He got married again to Michelle, who he'd met while they worked together at a restaurant in Frederick, Maryland. While not far from West Virginia, Frederick is another world with many fantastic restaurants and shops. Let me just scroll down here. And a renowned hospital where I was now working. Steve had known from the start that I wasn't keen on having kids. But as the years passed, he changed his mind. Steve died young, at age 45, so in retrospect, I'm glad that he decided to embark on a new life with Michelle and her 2 sons. At least he had the experience of parenthood. It was at Frederick Memorial Hospital that I found my workplace tribe. I was a respected cog in the large, complex machine providing essential office support. My first position at the hospital was in the home care hospice department, where I learned so much from the nurses and therapists when they returned to the office after their days on the road, providing care to patients recently discharged from the hospital. It was a fast-paced professional atmosphere with rarely a moment to relax. There was only one employee in the large home care department from West Virginia, despite its close proximity. The general consensus was that the typical West Virginian wouldn't pull their weight. After spending a few years in the home care office, I began working at the scheduling center, an even busier and more demanding position. A call center environment, both patients and doctors' offices called in to schedule every conceivable medical test imaginable. There were large procedural manuals to which we constantly referred to ensure that we provided proper patient care. A patient might require tests in nuclear medicine, cardiopulmonary, and radiology, preferably to be done in one day. Aligning the different department schedules on the computer module required skill and speed while continuing the phone conversation with the patient or the doctor's office, simultaneously consulting the appropriate manuals for technical specifications. My co-workers, including RNs with extensive clinical experience, as well as former radiology department clerks, it was a feeling of respect and supportive camaraderie, and we were doing important work. Life is all about to change, and I left the scheduling center in the hospital to join the administrative staff at the Foris Surgical Group, which was at the time the most prestigious surgical practice in Frederick. Again, I worked with sharp professionals with high standards. I was valued and respected as an integral member of the team. And that is what is stolen from us when we're targeted, the feeling of connection, of being valued. It's so vitally important to remember our lives before being targeted, because we carry our value with us still, and we always will. The subject of West Virginia would occasionally arise during conversations among the office staff at the Foris Surgical Group, accompanied with the requisite rolling of eyes. There was one incident, though, that I should have paid a lot more attention to than I did at the time. After all, I was seeing a musician whose bandmates were buying land in West Virginia. We all went camping there on the 4th of July weekend in 1999, and it was idyllic, just gorgeous. We parked the van on the way to Pawpaw just to admire the view. How could West Virginia be anything than almost heaven? One early morning before seeing his first patient of the day, Dr. Jeff Spillane, in an unprecedented display of anger, yelled the word "fuck" while racing towards his office with that day's edition of the Frederick News Post in hand. Decorum was the unspoken rule, so this outburst was beyond imaginable. It turns out that Dr. Spillane had just read an article describing a lawsuit that had just been filed against him by a former surgical patient. So he was extremely upset. He was moving at the time, so the process server hadn't been able to locate him to deliver the bad news. Within moments, probably after calling his lawyer, Dr. Spillane burst out of his office and came to every one of us who scheduled appointments with this warning, quote, "Don't ever make an appointment for someone from West Virginia again, !" unquote. Because the patient suing him was from West Virginia. I remember him and his wife when they came to see Dr. Spillane prior to the surgery. They were very out of place, not comfortable around us. I'm sure they would have strongly preferred to find a surgeon in West Virginia, but Dr. Spillane is a thoracic surgeon, and especially back then, I'm sure there were none in their neck of the woods. So what happened was they did not understand what Dr. Spillane was telling them. And I'm positive he assessed their IQ and adjusted his explanation accordingly. They sued him, alleging he didn't explain something important, but he did. They just didn't get it. And that is the danger of West Virginians. They don't get you. Then they take a chunk out of you. As for Dr. Spillane, he has relocated to Hyannis, Massachusetts, where it is highly unlikely he encounters patients from West Virginia. To wrap it up, so sorry, Lorraine, I did say this would be short. We're still people of value, deserving of respect regardless of what our perps want us to think or what want others to think. I have thoroughly enjoyed going back in my life, reviewing who I've been, because I am still that person. Thanks for listening. Well, thank you so much, Deborah, for being the first person to reflect on your life before targeting. And obviously, it was phenomenal. You had a phenomenal life until you moved to West Virginia, and then life changed. And no, you do have to wonder, had you not moved back to West Virginia, had your former husband met Michelle, perhaps it was kismet. Perhaps he was meant to have, a family. You were not interested in having children. There are a lot of women that don't want children. It's just not their thing. Kids are hard, let me tell you. They can be very difficult, and they can be very expensive too. But I thank you so much for sharing all of the work that you did, and that you liked being alone, you worked alone, and that you began reading at an early age and buying books. I mean, obviously from reading your testimonies, your 12 testimonies, your West Virginia horror story, you're very detailed, you're very astute, and your command of the English language is profound. I mean, people can really get a feel for what was going on in your life and feel as if that they've been there. And I love your sense of humor here, where you said that there are no shiny, squeaky clean black Tahoes, Explorers, Yukons, or Expeditions in sight. I didn't know how good I had it. Okay, so for all you targeted people out there, I'm sure you have all of those vehicles driving back and forth. And of course, here in Jackson County, Kentucky, we've got pickup trucks galore. All with dark windows. Oh yeah, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 vehicles, yeah. And John Deere tractors that tear out your gate. But thank you so much for being the first targeted person to reflect on your life before targeting, and anybody else out there that wants to, one, provide a testimony, a real testimony in writing first. If you want to provide me a testimony in writing of what your life is like now as a targeted person, what you experience, the ups, the downs, whether it's the gaslighting, your job mobbing, your family issues, honeypots, whatever it is, the directed energy weapons, V2K. If you want to share those experiences, you can email me at alternativehomesteading@gmail.com, and we can go from there. And then, of course, this is going to be our new series, and a couple of people contacted me that they're going to work on it. Life Before Targeting. Please, we want to know how wonderful you were before you were targeted. I want to know what you were doing, what your hobbies were, your interests, your successes, if you attended university, or what your degrees are. I wanted to know you before you became a targeted person. So these are your homework assignments, before and after. So thank you again, Deborah, for being the first one. I really appreciate it. And you had a wonderful life before. And yes, West Virginia. Well, we don't know. This is the thing, is we all have choices in life, but yet there are turns that we take that are allegedly, meant to be. It's part of our own karma. It's part of our own destiny. I would like to believe that no targeted person was meant for this disgusting life that they brought us into. Whether it's experimentation, asset stripping, real estate mobbing, animal harm, animal experimentation, pets, stealing your animals, stealing your wealth, your destiny. No one should experience this for any reason at all. Not because you pissed off somebody, not because somebody's envious or jealous. No reason at all. Oh, of course, the greedy ones. No one should have to experience being targeted like this. And we all need to reflect on what our life was like before. And remember that that is still who we are. We are not what these criminals want us to be. We never will be. And that's why we're targeted. We're not going to go along to get along. And we're going to remember who we are, what we were meant to be in this lifetime, in spite of the slander, the defamation, the gaslighting, the experimentation, the directed energy weapons, the poisonings, the spraying of the skies, the destruction of your property. We know who we are. And we're comfortable in sharing those experiences. And I'm looking forward to hearing yours. This is Lorraine Alternative Homesteading. Please leave comments down below. If you'd like to share your testimony, once again, before and after targeting, email me at alternativehomesteading@gmail.com. And I'm going to sign off for now.